Main purpose of this video is to go through 5 reasons why silver should surge. I don't know why I do it to myself when I've got a list, but I put all the S's in the title, but that's null and void. So there's a lot of excitement yesterday, Monday, the 2nd of June, because silver went up about 5%, give or take. And of course, we've seen this before where silver can be quite exciting. It can also be quite volatile. So when it moves, it really does move. But I think to take a step back from the excitement, we need to look at the fundamentals in play, because it's very easy to get caught up in the weeds sometimes, especially if you're trading. Obviously, you're going to be looking at, some people look at longer time frames, some people look at shorter time frames. But when we look at gold, when we look at silver, we should be looking at the very, very long-term picture. So there's 5 reasons why silver should surge. Number 1 is gold's influence. If we look at bull markets and we look at all the history with them, gold will normally make the first move. Then silver normally plays catch up. Now, I use the word normally because it doesn't always work out like that. But gold leads the way, silver will catch up. Now, we've seen gold hit 3,500. At the time of doing this particular video, gold is sitting around 33.50. That's in US dollars. And silver is around 34.50. So that's giving us a gold to silver ratio of about 97.3. That ratio is still quite high. But gold's influence is important because we've seen gold move up, then silver should follow. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 would be monetary policy expectations. Now, different people will argue that silver is money, gold is definitely money. People will argue that silver is or is not money. Yes, it has a lot more industrial uses, but that's point number 3. But there's a lot of monetary policy challenges. We've seen countries such as Russia and I believe India, where they've actually started to purchase silver. That's just not something that's really well known at the moment. They are buying large quantities of that. Now, some of that could be for industrial use, and some of that could be for monetary use. Silver, there have been silver standards before. There have also been bimetallic standards over the course of time. Whether we go back to a bimetallic standard or any form of silver standard, I think that's incredibly unlikely, but never say never. So I think monetary policy and also the expectations around inflation. Again, if you believe that inflation is going to increase dramatically because of Fed policy or Bank of England policy and currency printing, then the chances are you're going to want to hedge against that. Silver is still a very good play for that, in my opinion. Please don't take any of this as investment advice, by the way. Number 3, we just mentioned there, industrial demand growth. Well, yes, silver has a very prominent role to play. It is heavily used in, dare I say, warheads. And again, we're seeing a lot of talk about war at the moment. And unfortunately, I think that's going to continue moving forwards. So apart from war, it's also used heavily in solar panels, electric vehicles as well. Now, if we think of energy policy and we think of the way that the energy narrative is being spun, then the answer to everything is going to be electric vehicles and wind turbines and solar panels. Point being that countries and companies are producing more. How sustainable all of that's going to be, I don't know. But if you are increasing the amount of electric vehicles, you are increasing the amount of solar panels, for example, and unfortunately, warheads, then the demand for silver is going to increase. So again, that's a reason why silver could potentially, fly off the handle moving forwards. Number 4 would be supply deficits. Now, I am working on an article that deep dives into silver, but fundamentally, the silver market, or the physical silver market, I should say, has had a supply deficit, and it's been like that for 5 years. Now, economics 101 would be that if you have a supply issue with a product, then what should happen as a result is that demand increases or price increases as a result. That's what should happen. But of course, anyone that's relatively au fait with the paper silver market will know there's a lot of shenanigans, there's a lot of price suppression going on there. But if we take the cold hard facts, the physical silver market has been in a supply deficit for 5 years. The odds of that continuing are highly likely. There's been reduced mining output, not just here in Mexico. And again, that just exacerbates any imbalance. And point number 5, again, we've sort of touched upon this as well, safe haven appeal. Again, amid everything we've spoken about, geopolitical issues, economic issues, etc., silver still has that safe haven appeal. Now, gold is probably the ultimate one. You could argue Bitcoin all day long. I don't know much about that. I'm trying to get a few people on the podcast to speak about that. But silver still has a role. And again, at $34.50, give or take, it's very affordable to buy. Now, I appreciate that not everyone that watches this video or is listening are going to have thousands of dollars spare to go and buy loads of ounces of gold. So therefore, you could look to silver. And again, for the other reasons that we've mentioned, silver, when the retail demand goes into silver, again, in conjunction, with the supply deficits, etc., you should see a surge in that silver price. So those 5 things again, number 1 is gold's influence. Number 2, monetary policy and inflation expectations. Number 3, industrial demand growth. Number 4 is supply deficits within the physical silver market. Number 5, safe haven appeal amid geopolitical and economical issues. The chances are there's going to be a lot more currency printing. The chances are that we're going to have a commodity super cycle moving forwards. Now, it doesn't mean from this position that it's just going to go up, up and away. If and when a big recession hits, which maybe this year, it might be next year, we might be in recession already. The governments keep changing the definitions of a recession. When something violent happens, then gold, silver, everything is likely going to sell off. That's going to push the price down, I reckon, quite significantly. I don't have any targets on that. I don't know what will happen. But history's shown before that gold, silver, etc. will sell off. That if there is any physical silver left or any physical gold left available, that will be the opportune time to buy, in my opinion. Again, please don't take that as investment advice. I'm just sharing my thoughts for the purposes of this video. So there are 5 reasons why silver should surge moving forwards. And again, that is the physical market. There are a lot of shenanigans, of course, in the paper markets at the moment. Hello, uranium investor. Good to see that you are also bullish on silver. I think most people should be bullish on silver. And again, we're trying to just look at the fundamentals here. The fundamentals would suggest that moving forwards, silver should go much higher. One key thing to keep an eye out on is that gold and silver ratio. For those that don't know what that is basically the amount of silver it takes to buy an ounce of gold. So again, at the time of recording, it's about 97.3, which means that you could buy 1 ounce of gold, or you could buy 97.3 ounces of silver. Now that ratio is very high. It's historically, in going back years and years and years and centuries, I think in the times of ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, it was about 2 to 1, 3 to 1, sometimes 5 to 1. In medieval Europe, 14th century, 15th century, it was between 12 and 15 to 1. So the ratio at the moment at 97.3 is extremely high. There have been times where it's been higher, so it's been over 100. So to me at the moment, this is indicating that silver is significantly undervalued. So there is a potential arbitrage play available. And again, not investment advice, but just something to consider. So if you bought, again at the moment, let's round up the number and say 100 for the sake of maths. You could buy an ounce of gold, or you could buy 100 ounces of silver. Well, let's say that ratio decreases to 50. Now, when the ratio is 50 to 1, you could take your 100 ounces of silver, and at a ratio of 50 to 1, you could then buy 2 ounces of gold. So you could effectively double your gold holdings without doing anything, because you've bought the right metal at the right time. So this is my personal playbook. This is why I say in my videos and in the writings that 3 metals that I would look at the moment would be silver, number 1, for that very reason, that the ratio, even in the last 50 to 60 years, has been about 65 on average. Now, it's not to say that that ratio can go higher. That ratio could go a lot higher first. It could go to 110, 120, maybe even 150 to 1, because gold normally leads the way. But if we're going to revert to the mean, revert to the norm, then in the last 50 to 60 years, that ratio has been about 65 to 1. And of course, using historical examples, that ratio's got down to about 15 to 1. So there's different ways to play it. But my personal playbook is physical silver, stored in various jurisdictions around the world, because I'm looking to take advantage of that gold and silver ratio, because I believe it's too high. The second metal that I suggest people look at is platinum. Platinum has its uses, without a shadow of a doubt. It's also mined in places such as South Africa, which of course have a lot of political issues, geopolitical issues at the moment. So platinum could be a very good play. And again, just looking at the platinum to gold ratio, let me just bring that up on here. That at the moment sits at 0.31. So for an ounce of platinum, you could buy 0.31 ounces of gold. There have been times historically where an ounce of platinum could buy 2 or 3 ounces of gold. I'm looking at the ratio chart here. So if we go to Tuesday, the 13th of May, 2008, 1 ounce of platinum could have bought you 2.39 ounces of gold. That sounds crazy, but they are the numbers. And of course, at the moment, it's about 0.31. So because of that, and because the fact that platinum is used in catalytic converters, and you still need these converters for a lot of the massive energy projects that are happening and that are in the pipeline, pardon the pun, at the moment, the chances are the use of platinum is going to be quite high. Mix that with the fact that it's rarer than gold. Also mix that with the fact that the mining jurisdictions are haphazard, to say the least. Then I think you've got a bullish case there for platinum. So that's why I say platinum's the second metal that I would look at. Gold would be the third. And again, gold's got a lot of qualities, as we've touched upon. However, looking at the gold and silver ratio, looking at the platinum to gold ratio, for me, I would look to utilize silver and platinum first. If you don't like that idea and you don't like the arbitrage idea, then again, gold is going to be the ultimate safe haven. As I said multiple times, please don't take any of this as investment advice. You have to do your own homework, understand why you want to potentially make an investment or acquire physical metals. All I can say is if you are going down that route, please make sure you are acquiring the physical metals, no exchange traded funds. Please make sure you have ownership of what you are buying, because we're seeing a lot of issues at the moment around the world. We are seeing a lot of potential conflicts that are going to heat up. I appreciate there's conflicts at the moment that are, could be classed as a hot war. I think they're going to heat up even further. And again, there's a lot of issues within the financial plumbing of the world economy. We are seeing the US debt being increased. How sustainable that is, I don't think it is. Same issues in the UK. There's a lot of geopolitical issues around the world and a lot of financial issues as well. And just because the price of silver or gold goes up, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the price going up. It's in fact the value of the currency going down. You could argue they're both sides of the same coin, but the point being is if you believe that there are financial issues, fiscal issues, and there are potentially other issues at large throughout the world, then you're going to want to protect yourself. And therefore, the suggestion, always do your own homework. But for me, I would be looking at silver. I would be looking at trying to take advantage of that gold and silver ratio, and also the 5 things that we discussed at the start of the video. I would then be looking at platinum purely to take potential advantage of that gold, platinum to gold ratio. And then I would look at gold as my third port of call. That covers the metals. In terms of other things going around the world, again, there's been quite a bit of excitement with regards to the metals, certainly on Monday, the 2nd of June. But just a couple of bits of housekeeping from the Contrarian Capitalist. We have done a couple of recordings this morning. One was with Shailesh Kumar, who spoke about value investing. Really, really good episode. Again, all podcasts are released to paid subscribers first before being released to free subscribers. That episode is available now for paid subscribers. And also this morning recorded another episode with Roger Pelkey Jr. I would highly recommend you go and check out his Substack. You can find him at The Honest Broker. And we spoke a lot about worldwide energy policy and why 2030 and 2050 targets are not ideal, and that the energy conundrum is effectively bigger than most people would appreciate. That episode will be available to pay subscribers on Wednesday the 4th, and that will be released to free subscribers at a later date. Finally, this week on Thursday the 5th, I'll be recording with Kai Hoffman. You might recognize that name because he is the host of Soar Financial, or Soar Financially, if you've been watching the videos over on YouTube. So it's going to be good to get him on the other side of a mic. So he's going to be on the Contrarian Capitalist podcast as well. So plenty of fun things going on around the world. In terms of touching base on war, again, I don't really like doing it, but we've got to be realistic, and I pride myself on being realistic on the channel. We're seeing things heat up quite a lot, and it's not too late to have a plan B. Plan B is going to be different for everyone. Plan B to you could be acquiring physical silver. It could be acquiring physical platinum. It could be acquiring physical gold. It could be getting out of Europe, especially if you're listening to this and you're living in Europe. Now, you might say that you want to stay and fight. Fine, that's up to you. Everyone's entitled to their own decisions. But what I would say is, if you are serious about diversifying yourself and trying to get away from the potential epicenter of where I think Europe is taking its people, which is a hot conflict, whether people like it or not, then you should look at Plan B. There are temporary residencies out there. There are permanent residencies out there. You might even be eligible for citizenship by investment. You might be eligible for citizenship via ancestry. It could be available to all of that. Some residencies are easier than others. I'm not going to go into all of them in this video, but the purpose of this is to say that if you're in Europe and you listen to this in Europe and you don't particularly like the idea of having a fight moving forwards, a physical fight, because unfortunately, I think that is coming down the road. I really do. Then you can always take action. And again, that could be through Plan B, and that Plan B could be temporary residency visas. It could be permanent residency as well. A Uranium Investor is asking thoughts on best citizenships to get. It depends on your circumstances. I know that through a birth planning point of view, so for example, if you and your partner gave birth to a child in Brazil, for example, then that child becomes Brazilian. Then after a year, you could apply for Brazilian citizenship. So after 1 year, if you give birth to a child in Brazil and then you stay in Brazil for that year, plus a bit of admin time, etc., call it 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. But certainly after 1 year, you could begin that application to become a Brazilian citizen. The advantages of that is, number one, that's a very quick passport. Number two, it also, if you listen to this from North America, it actually gives you access to Europe, because Brazil and Portugal, again, this is all correct at the time of recording, Brazil and Portugal have a understanding between them, have an agreement between them, whereas Brazilian citizens can go and live and work, I believe, in Portugal. So you can have access to the EU as well. If you're just looking for temporary residency, I would say that arguably Mexico is one of the simplest. Paraguay is also very simple at the moment. Paraguay also has a lot of tax advantages as well. I've done an interview a while ago with Plan B Paraguay. In the links that come with this video, I will link to that. I highly recommend you go and listen to that because Paul Kitson goes into great depth about the advantages of Paraguay. So I would say Paraguay, Mexico for temporary, potentially permanent residency as well. If you're in a situation where you're potentially looking to start a family, Brazil's likely going to be one of the best countries for that because the citizenship is quite fast on the back end. Also, it's got exceptional healthcare facilities as well. There was a podcast episode recently recorded with Mike Koo. I will link to that as well in the links beneath this video. So they might be some examples you could be worth considering. Again, I don't like to, talk nonchalantly about war, but if we're being realistic, when there are dramatic financial challenges around the world, you normally need to hide behind something, and history has shown us that war is 9 times out of 10 is going to be the answer. I wish it wasn't, but that is the way that the world works. So, especially if you listen to this in Europe, it's not too late to get your plan B in place, but please do go and start searching, start having a good look around. Again, I'll put as many links to as many different articles and podcasts that we've done at Contrarian Capitalist, and I hope that helps. That's all the housekeeping. As usual, if you are yet to become a free subscriber to the Contrarian Capitalist, then please do so. If you want to become a paid subscriber, then please, again, do consider doing that. You'll have access to all the market newsletters, weekly wrap, weekly open, and the monthly wrap video that I do with Chris Steadley over at Live Squawk Commodity Corner. And of course, you have early access to all of the podcasts as well. They are released to paid subscribers first. I appreciate there's a lot of followers of the channel, so the more subscribers we can get, the better that is, because the mission is to inform as many people as possible about protecting themselves, protecting your family, and doing what it works best for you. So I hope all of that helps. Thank you very much. Look out for the links in the video, or that will be in the article with the video. Look out for those links. I'll link to other podcasts and content that have happened before. Again, physical silver, physical platinum, physical gold. Have a look at them. Do your own homework. Please don't take anything that I say as a financial recommendation. Please do your own homework and do things that work for you. And with regards to temporary residency, permanent residency, citizenship, again, there's a lot of options out there, a myriad of options. I'll link to some posts and podcasts below, and hopefully they will point you in the right direction. Any other questions, do feel free to send me a DM. I'll always do my best to get back to people where possible. And again, if you're yet to subscribe, either for free or become a paid subscriber, or even a founding member where it's a one-off investment, so it's for life, it never renews, you can do that as well. I'll put the button below in the video. Thank you very much, and see you soon.